Hey you guys, it's Rachel here with Senza Tempo Cane Corso. So I just had a pretty wild moment, and I didn't get it on video because I was just sitting here listening to Pandora, and I was just kind of relaxing and really enjoying myself. But I'm kind of regretting it because if I had, then you would see this or would have seen it. So I can tell you though, I had two females that were up here, Bella Rose being one of them, and they were up here kind of, playing, and he ran out from underneath me and went to check Bella Rose, and then proceeded to dominate her, which you kind of got to see. And and he came out pretty aggressive, pretty loud, and she went down for him. And I think that that's a thing that I've always kind of noticed is like, you would think that dogs would get on to like bully puppies, teach them a lesson, whatever, ones that are kind of wilding out, but they don't always. It's not what you would think. And from what I've noticed is that they have this really intuitive knowledge that a dog is what it's going to be, and so you're not going to like remove his his dominance, or like, well, there he goes, he's pure dominance right there, you guys. Pure dominance. That has nothing to do with mating or anything like that. It is by no means, has nothing to do with that. This is 100% dominance. This is how dogs dominate one another. And so she's tolerating it because ultimately that's who he is, and there's no changing that. But she is teaching him, I think, how to be more respectful, and teaching him like kind of how to manage himself, and kind of what the boundaries are, how far to take things, and including, I think, even like bite pressure. Like, I think that she's very much, that's why he kind of squealed a minute ago, because I think she kind of gave him a nip. And Bella Rose is really a really wonderful mama dog. It's not always that you find mama dogs that really want to take such an effort, such a participation in their puppy's upbringing. Now, this is not her puppy, but she's never cared. She just loves puppies in general. And she reminds me of Cashmere in the way that she's all about like giving lessons, and that's really what she's doing right now. And these mama dogs like this, they always love the most dominant ones, because it's like, in a way, I think that they enjoy kind of being very developmental, or I guess I would say being very impactful during this developmental stage for him, because he is a very dominant male, and there's no like changing that in him. That's who he is deep down at his core. That's his nature, and that's why it's important. Pardon me, allergies are really high right now. That's why it's so important that you always pick a dog that's best for your energy level, for your temperament. Because if you're not a particularly dominant person, and you don't really like having to be like the disciplinarian, you don't like having to enforce the rules, you're more of like a want to let them get away with it kind of person. You want to be the good guy all the time. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. If that's who you are, though, then you can't have a really dominant puppy, because that puppy is basically going to take over. And so, as you can see with her, like, she's laying there, she's letting him be himself, she's letting him dominate, she's doing all of that. And then most likely he started to get a little too intense, something like that, and then she started to push back. And that's a perfectly normal thing to do. Ibiza, can you move, please? Can you go away? We're over here in school. Go. Ibiza, move. Dude, watch out. Go, Memphis. We're over here. We're learning. Go, Memphis. Go away. So I think what it is that once he begins to get too intense, then she'll get onto him a bit. First of all, y'all cut it out. Quit, Freya. You cut it out. And you cut it out too. I don't know what you were doing. Both of y'all cut it out. Ibiza, quit. You cut it out. You hear me? Do you hear me? Don't you make me get up again. You ruined our lesson over here with your pettiness. Both of y'all. Petty Betties. So anyway, they know he's a puppy and they're not going to go too hard on him because of that. Dude, put your ear back. Put your ear back. Thank you. And so they're just teaching him, you know what I mean? They're showing him the boundaries and all that stuff. No, Ibiza, you go away. Beezy. Be easy, Beezy. That's what I tell her. Oh, we've got some dominating going on. So that's Kimchi right here. The blue brindle is Nautica and the black is Freya. And we've got Ibiza and Freya kind of looking at each other, kind of testing each other out a bit right here. That's exactly what's going on. They're testing each other. And now you got Nautica trying to keep them apart, trying to basically do yeah, they're starting to get serious. Yeah, Nautica's trying to be the peacemaker, keep everybody separate. And then you've got Asia who's walking in right now, tail up. And she's coming and checking out who thinks they're the boss. So Freya thinks she's the boss. And Asia's walking up and saying, hey, what are y'all doing? See how she got in everybody's face? The tail was up real stiff. Body was stiff. She punked them all out and now they're all done. And what I will say is that is the beauty and the necessity of the power structure in dogs and why you got to respect it. Because it's what they are, it's what they're designed for, it's how they operate. And as I said before, it doesn't matter who you think you are and what rules you think you have. You're not going to change the nature of something. Get over here now, girls. Nautica, move it. Freya, let's go. You're not going to change the essence of what a dog is, the way in which they communicate. You know what I mean? This is who they are. And you're not going to alter that. But you can learn to live within it. You can learn to exist within that power structure, because that's exactly why human beings and dogs work out so well, why we live so well together. We have historically, because we've always understood and respected that power structure since we live by similar codes and structures. We don't necessarily share the same behaviors, but the concepts are the same. You know, we all live within a social hierarchy. And that's why it's always worked well historically. Now, the farther that we get away from what is natural, from what is true, and it does seem that the world has taken a turn, particularly our country, where truth has suddenly come under question, and what we always knew to be true is being questioned, even down to like the games they play with. I know some of y'all have seen it where I think Fruit of the Loom said that they never had the cornucopia in the logo, and then we were able to prove that it was like things like that. Things that we all remember, it's just we living in a weird time. And what I can tell you is that the way through it is not to buy into all of that change, is not to question things. Just if it ain't broke, don't fix it, is how I was raised. And I really think that that'll save a lot of us, because it's best just not to play any games with that. It's almost like being like the world's being gaslit. And you know, don't fall into it. You know what I mean? Don't even give it a second thought. As my father would say, don't even give it place. And what he meant by that is don't give it a place in your brain. Don't think about it. Don't pay any attention to it, because, you know, there's just no need to. It's nonsense. And so when it comes to the dogs, it's a very similar thing. They've always been able to live with us in a really good way because of how we live in similar systems. Let's see what we got going on over here. Who's getting beat up? Looks like Freya. Girls, let's go, move. But we've always done it through respecting that system. And another thing I saw recently is that dog bites are about as high as I think they're the highest they've ever been. And it's because people, it's like we may not respect the natural way that dogs are, but they're not going to change for us. And what ends up happening is that now we're suffering the consequences of what happens when you don't respect an animal's nature and you have it in your house. You know what I mean? And it is really no different than, you know, even people that you live with. You know, it's hard to live with people if you're not going to respect who they are without having conflict. So, you know, a lot of people ask me how I'm able to manage all these dogs and whatnot. And all I can tell you is that it's because I respect who they are. I understand who they are. And I don't expect them to be any different than that. I don't try to change them into something that they're not. And, you know, that's just what it is. And if you keep trying to change it, if you keep trying to change who they are because you have a funny, you know, opinion about discipline, then you're going to have trouble and you're not going to be able to do this. You know what I mean? You'll only be able to handle certain dogs. You won't be able to handle breeds like this, or at least dogs that are temperamentally correct, that comes from breeds like this. Because every now and then you'll see somebody who really wouldn't normally be able to handle a Corso, but they've got some just really atypical dog that really just doesn't behave. You know, there's some really easy Corso out there, you know. And so, you know, yeah, you'd be able to have one of those dogs, sure, you know, and you can get away with that. But you couldn't have a dog like Preacher Jr. here. You couldn't do that. Or even Preacher Original. I mean, let's just be real. That's what makes him Preacher Jr., amongst other things. But, you know, but I have no qualms about him being dominant, about him being who he is. As you can see, the dogs don't either. And that's the beauty of it. People always say that. They're like, well, how do dogs like rise up in the dominance hierarchy? They know. Like all these females know. They can smell it on him. They can see it on him. They know it's coming. And they don't have an issue with it. They don't actually have a problem with dominance. Switch. So long as you're a just and fair leader. You know what I mean? Like you can't be crazy, you can't be abusive, you can't not respect who they are. You know what I mean? But if you know who they are and you respect them and you speak to them in a way that they understand and you treat them in a way that they understand, and that goes for him too, then, you know, he'll rise to the top. Now, please stop drooling on me. That'd be fantastic. Go away. Go. Asia. And so anyway, see what I mean? See how I had to get onto her? I try to be nice. Nope, look at her. Nope. She's like, Mama, my bad. I just want some love. But, look at him immediately on top of her. Immediately. We'll see what she does. She probably won't let him get away with it for too long because she's a more dominant female. So she's going to be less tolerant of a lot of that stuff. Right now she's doing more ignoring. She's not really playing with him. Let's see what she does. Now she's smelling him. She's like, let me see what he's about. Because she can smell. She'll be able to smell who he is. Like see? So she's like, nah. She can smell his hormone levels, and they can just tell a lot about each other, is all I can tell you. Isa, what you doing? No, don't drool at me. So she basically ignored him quite a bit. And in her own way, you know, she's teaching him about dominance, because that's a big thing that dominant dogs do, particularly like confident dominant dogs, is they just ignore that kind of nonsense. You know what I mean? Him trying to get on her like that. She's not going to give it place. She's just going to ignore it. Here you have Nautica, tail up, body stiff, ignoring him for the most part. Dominating him by standing over him. We'll get to see what she does. Yeah, so there he goes now. He's trying to be more of a puppy. Y'all better get back here right now. Come back over here. Let's go. Who's being a bad dog? You get your butt over here now. Is that Freya? I bet you it is. Freya, get over here. What were you thinking? Oh, you were bad, Freya. What were you doing? What were you doing, Freya? Shh. Oh, you was bad. What were you doing? So I couldn't just sit there, you know what I mean? I had to get up. I had to enforce myself. And as you see, she was properly shamed. Look at her on the outskirts, head down, the rapid tail wag, blinking of the eyes, not actually looking at me. Look at the tail wag. See, and I'm giving her a more dominant eye contact. I'm not just walking up for love. I'm making direct eye contact. I'm moving slow. And still letting her know that even though she did what I wanted, even though she came over, that I'm still not happy with her right now. Ooh, holy cow. That's a big old branch that just came down. Look at them. What is it, Nirvana? So instead of falling down all the way, oh, I think it did actually. Okay, maybe. I thought it didn't fall down all the way, but I guess maybe it did. Huh. Oh no, there's part of it right there. So no, it didn't. Part of it came down, and then part of it is still right there. But then part of it is right here. What are you doing, dirty girl, in a hole in the ground? Gattaca, what are you doing, dirty girl? Gotta put my ladder away. What is it, Nirvana? So I've got Nirvana out here with all the puppies and the bullies. Ooh, Velocity. Velocity decided to challenge Nirvana. But that's Ibiza is wagging her tail because that's her mama. And she's like, no, mama, don't be mad at me. Why are you barking at everybody, Nirvana? She's like, because I'm a dominant dog and that's what I do. But yeah, I've got her back there because she's a peacemaker. You know, that's the thing, is the dominant dogs are ultimately the peacemakers. They are 100% necessary. They keep all of the minions from destroying everything. And what I'll tell you is that leaders are not always it's not always fun to watch leaders lead. You know what I mean? They got to do some ugly things sometimes. They got to get onto dogs and they got to do things that, you know, that are not always fun. You know, they got to discipline, they got to do stuff like that. But that aggression that you see prevents a whole lot more aggression that you would see from all of the other dogs attacking each other constantly because it's not, they can't find a leader, because none of them is really truly that, you know, that one. And so you need the leader to keep it's like their aggression that you see, which does seem heightened at its point, is necessary to prevent even more aggression from the rest of them. And I'll give you an example of that. Oh God, I'm not going to remember his name right now. There's good God. Anyway, I can't remember now. It's left my mind. The older I get, the more I forget. That's all I could tell you. But there was a historical leader, and Genghis Khan. That's who it was, Genghis Khan. And he was like very aggressive, right? And the things that he did were very aggressive. But by taking over, he prevented a lot of, there had been wars going on forever, and he stopped all of that whenever he became the leader. So it's a thing, you know what I mean? And that's really what alpha dogs do in a pack, is they run things so that aggression is at a minimum. Y'all better cut it out. Get away from my garden with that mess. Oh, down she goes. Nautica, you took a tumble, girl. I heard that. Anyway, so I hope that's easy to understand. I know that the world is trying to convince you that alphas don't exist and no such thing as alphas and da-da-da-da-da. And all I'm going to tell you is it's another form of gaslighting by the world. It's a lie, and it will get you in trouble. Okay? Don't do it. Don't feed into it. You know what I mean? Don't let somebody who just doesn't know any better ruin your ability to have a good relationship with your dog, is all I'm saying. Because when you respect them for who they are and you exist within that realm and you play your role accordingly, you will have a much better bond, because your dog will actually respect you. And there's really something to say for when your dog doesn't just love you, but respects you. So anyway, I'm gonna let y'all go. My daughter just called me. She's got a job now, and she had to do something for her job. So she just called me, and I gotta call her back. So bye.